Believe me, I know the pain of infidelity can be so overwhelming that one of the first questions you start to ask yourself is, will I ever get over this pain? Will this pain ever stop? Is there any time in my future where I'm not going to feel all of this hurt and pain and resentment and bitterness and anger? Many people will say no. And they can't even, that's usually because they can't even imagine how one would ever get over that level of betrayal. And it's also usually because they're putting together the idea of overcoming the pain and getting the marriage back on track. They're mixing all of those things together. But what I want to focus on in this marriage is just, can I get over the pain of the infidelity? And if that is the question that we're asking, then the absolute answer is yes. Yes, yes, yes. Now, as an affair recovery specialist, I have helped many couples go on this journey and come out the other side. But I also, from first-hand experience, know that it is so possible for you to get over this pain. And I don't want to come off as condescending. I know that I've got a smile on my face, but it is because I know it is the truth. And if you're in the midst of that pain right now, you might be looking at me thinking that I'm crazy. But you are capable of overcoming so much more. This is not the end of life. And it feels overwhelming. But if you want to be intentional about your healing, you can get to the point where you can remember this act and there is no negative emotional connection towards it. That is the place that I am in. That is the place that I get my clients to, where we can remember that this thing happened in a point of history. But when that memory comes up and that thought comes up, it doesn't also come up with all the attached emotions to it, all this pain and hurt. And if you think about it, maybe this infidelity seems like the biggest thing that you've ever been through in your life. But think about something else that at the time felt extremely traumatic. And that now, when you think about it, there isn't that same emotional connection. Like, you definitely are saying to yourself, oof, I remember feeling really bad about that at the time, and I never want to go through that again. But do I still feel that pain and hurt and anger and whatever it was that you felt at that time? Potentially not. Why? Because you've successfully disconnected the emotions from the memory. Some things you're able to do that almost automatically. Some things you're able to do that more easily. And there are some things that you really struggle with because letting go of that emotion can feel unsafe. And it can feel like, I'm almost dismissing that this big, huge thing happened to me. But if you're here because you don't want to feel like this for the rest of life, then first of all, let me answer the question. Yes, you can get over the pain of infidelity. Absolutely, you can. And then the second thing I'm going to do in this video is give you a 9-step framework to help you to do that. My name is Coach Daisy, and if you're here for the first time, I am an affair recovery specialist and marriage coach. I work with couples and individuals around the world, helping them to rebuild trust, restore intimacy, and create the marriage that they've always desired, even after an affair. If you haven't already and you think that this content is going to really help you in your marriage journey, then hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Now, before we go into the 9 steps to help you navigate through your healing journey and get to the point where this does not hurt you in the same way that it does now, I want you to know a few things. Number 1, healing is not linear. If you're expecting to go through this stage, that stage, this stage, this stage in a really nice, neat, organized manner, then that's not going to happen. Healing goes a little bit more like 3 steps forward, 1 step back, a little side step, back into the middle, 6 steps forward, sliding 2 steps back, thinking we're okay, going forward again, right step. It feels a bit like this. But if your focus is, I am going to get to the end of this and I am determined and intentional about my healing, that as long as we're moving forward, even with the dance of left and right and a bit backwards, you are going to reach your destination. Number two, everybody's healing journey looks different. And it really depends on you as a person, how you've been raised, what you've dealt with in life, how you've learned to deal with difficult situations. There's so many things that will determine how you handle trauma and betrayal. Now, when it comes to healing, there are definitely some things and elements of a healing journey that stays pretty much the same or are quite typical in most people. But the way people heal, the process, the speed, and all of these different things can be very, very different. Number three, how you perceive the infidelity and therefore how deep it hurts you will also impact how you journey through your healing. So, for example, some people would put more weight on a physical infidelity than an emotional infidelity. So if it was just that you guys were talking and it was getting inappropriate and you were building a bit of an emotional connection, I'm kind of cool. Well, not cool with it, but I can get over that much more quickly than the physicality. For the people, the physicality isn't the big deal. It's this depth of connection that you had. For the people, neither of it, how connected you were, physical you were, it was the lies and the deception, the fact that you were able to look at me every day and lie. So depending on how you perceive the infidelity and which part really connects with you the most or hurts you the most will determine how you navigate through your healing journey. And then lastly, I want you to be clear that this is about you healing as a person. Your marriage healing or your relationship healing is almost a separate thing. It's not almost a separate thing. It is a separate thing. They can work in tangent. You can be working on yourself while you're working on the marriage, but they're not the same. And so for the purpose of this video, we are talking about how you can heal, some steps that you can go to be intentional about your personal healing so that you can get over the pain of infidelity. All right, here's number one. You have to let it out and not hold it in. What do I mean by that? I mean the pain, the hurt, the anger, the disappointment. Suppressing those emotions are not going to help you. They're going to be expressed in some way, shape, or form anyway. And the more that you suppress, the more that you elongate your healing journey. You have to express these emotions. You have to talk about how you feel. You have to release these emotions. Now, I don't mean go out there and just be super destructive and do things and say things that you're later on going to completely regret and have to keep rebuilding new different things. But I think using tools like journaling, definitely taking out time to talk through what you're dealing with, getting support from other people. And if it means crying, screaming, and letting it all out, absolutely do that. And remember, suppressing these emotions don't mean that they're gone. It's a little bit like when you go to the doctors and you've got a really serious issue with your stomach, but they just give you a painkiller. You have to get rid of what is really causing the pain. Just giving you a painkiller is going to just mask it. It's going to make you ignore it, and it's going to mean that you're not going to deal with it. And pain that isn't dealt with stays. It doesn't go. Number two, you've got to accept what happens. I don't mean we're excusing behavior. I don't mean we're justifying behavior, but you have got to accept it in its entirety. I always say to my clients, an affair is an affair is an affair. Now that might sound very callous and unfeeling, but what I mean by that is if you've discovered the affair and then through questioning you find out that not only were they meeting up in the park, they also had a plan to meet up in a hotel, and you allow that piece of information to re-hurt you again. Or maybe they were meeting up in a hotel, but then you also discovered that they went for a long drive somewhere, or they bought each other gifts. And those new pieces of information, as you keep exploring and having these conversations, keep re-hurting you. But that's because you haven't accepted that an affair is an affair is an affair. You have to realize that when somebody has an affair, they're likely to do, there's a likelihood of a number of different things that come with an affair: meeting up, communication, making plans, buying gifts, all the things that you would expect for somebody to do within an affair. So you have to accept it for its truth. And I don't say that to be harsh with you. I say that so that you don't have to keep being re-hurt by new bits of information that you get, especially in this season where you're going to be investigating everything, asking so many questions, and every time your partner answers a question, you put yourself in a place where it just keeps sending you backwards instead of giving you more information so that you can go along your healing journey. Number 3, I ask my clients to do this almost with immediate effect. And it sounds like it goes against what I said in number 1, but actually what I want you to do is drop any sense of shame and self-blame that you might be carrying. Feel all the feels, do exactly what I said in number 1. But when it comes to shame and self-blame, we give them absolutely no space to thrive whatsoever. So any thoughts that come up in your mind, like, why did this happen to me? It's all my fault. I should have done better. It's because I'm not good enough. It's because I did something wrong. I should have figured this out early enough. This is so embarrassing for me. This shame is mine. As soon as any of those kind of thoughts come up, you want to reject them immediately. And the reason why is because those emotions are self-pointing. They point at you. They make you the problem. They blame you, and they're actually lies. And you have enough to navigate through in this time and enough emotions to deal with without taking on emotions that are lying. Right? They are lying emotions, and they have you focusing on all the things that you think you should have done better instead of addressing the real emotions like the anger and the bitterness and the pain, and looking at moving forward from them. Number 4, we have to reframe the story that you're telling in your mind. So this is reframing the story, and this is some of the work that I do with my clients, where I will hear them say things like, he or she did this to me, right? And they never ever cared about me. This whole marriage was a lie, or they planned this right from the beginning. And these are the stories that our minds develop in order to help us make sense of it, but they're not helpful because they put this infidelity as a you against me. It was something that was done to me, against me, intentionally. And actually that's not often the case. What is the case more often is that this infidelity had much less to do about you than you would even think, and more to do with your partner, where their mind space was, the gap they're trying to fill, what they're looking for within themselves, some lacking within them, self-esteem issue, confidence issue, not knowing how to deal with stress, looking for something, but they're not knowing how to create it within themselves or within this marriage, and rather it's easy to escape into some form of fantasy world. There's all these different reasons that aren't actually about you. Right? And so what you need to do is reframe this and say, this isn't my fault, and this actually isn't about me, and my partner probably didn't do this to me. Does it mean it doesn't hurt? Absolutely no, it doesn't. Of course it hurts, but actually this is more about them and a lacking within them. There is something about them that caused them to make this decision at risk of losing all of this thing that we've created. It's more about them. So let's reframe this. And yes, the pain hurts and the betrayal is there, but the intention to do it to you as an attack on you, it probably isn't the case. Number 5 is forgiveness without the pressure to reconcile. And we have to be mindful about this, because I'm not into the pressure of forgiveness. We have to do it at the right time when you really feel ready. But definitely you have to know that forgiveness is going to play a huge part in your healing journey if you truly, truly want to move forward. This doesn't mean, though, that we're going to definitely reconcile. The forgiveness and the decision to reconcile, two different things. I can forgive you and walk away. I can forgive you and walk away straight to the courts and get the divorce. Or I can forgive you and say, actually, I do want to see if we can use this crisis to create an opportunity to build the marriage that we desire. Either one of those are available to you, but either way and either decision you make, you still should choose forgiveness for yourself. Forgiveness is for you. Now, if forgiveness is something that you struggle with and you really don't know how to navigate it, it's one of the things that I do with the people in my affair recovery support group, where every month I hold a forgive and let go session where I take you through my active forgiveness process that helps you to not only reconcile with the things that have happened to you and really call them out, but we also then forgive, we also then let go, and then I show you how to walk in your forgiveness. Because forgiveness, you might decide to do it today, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden all of this pain goes. Now I'm going to teach you the mental process that means that you win the battle over this pain every day through walking in forgiveness. And if that's something that you feel you need, absolutely, you are more than welcome into the community. Hit the link in the description, and if you've got any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. Number 6 is so important, but it is difficult, and that is staying in the present. Now, what do I mean by that? Listen, even though this happened to me over 15 years ago, people still come to me and say, what if he does it again? And that comes from fear. That comes from their own questioning of being, maybe this has happened to them and they stay in the place where they're future pacing. What if, what if, what if? Right? And they never allow themselves to really connect with what's going on today. I fully understand why. It's definitely a protection mechanism, but it stops you from healing now, as it keeps you locked in the fear of what might happen. And whilst you're there, your nervous system stays on high alert, because whilst we're saying what if, we're waiting for this thing to happen. You never come off that mountain. And so if healing is what you desire for yourself, you've got to really practice. And I'm using the word practice because it isn't easy. You've got to really practice catching yourself moving into the future. What if this happens? What if that happens? And remind yourself, hey, let me focus on what's going on right now. Let me look at the present. Let me look at what's going on here in this space, because that's the only thing that I have control of. And actually, it is the only truth. We don't know what's happening tomorrow or the next day or next year. So it makes absolutely zero sense giving any of that any energy. Is it easy? Nope. Is it worth it? Yes. Number 8 is looking for the growth in the crisis. Looking for the growth in the crisis. I'm not expecting you to be able to do this immediately, but again, at some point in the journey, you have to be intentional enough to say, right, it is time for me to start looking for the good in the crisis. Yes. Now, once you reach the point that you're able to say, I can see the good, I found some growth, I found some opportunity within this mess, you know that you are well on your way to being healed from the pain of infidelity. And lastly, number 9 is you don't have to do this all alone. Absolutely get some professional help. Join my affair recovery support program, where you're going to get sessions that are dedicated to healing. You're also going to be able to work with me one-on-one, and courses that you can work through that are going to get you through this journey, because you deserve to heal from this pain. I'll see you in the next video.